I'm walking into the most expensive restaurant in the city with my heart pounding like I'm about to meet my future, and then I see her sitting at the table. Not just anyone. My ex-fiancée's mother. The woman who testified against me in court. The woman who convinced her daughter that I was a monster. And she's smiling at me like she's been waiting for this moment her entire life. And that's when I understand. This wasn't a blind date. This was a trap. My name is Gabriel, and I haven't been in love since the woman I wanted to marry was stolen from me by people who claimed to be protecting her. The blind date was set up by my best friend, Marcus. He told me it was time to move on, time to stop living in the past, time to believe that there was someone else out there who could make me feel the way I felt before everything fell apart. I was skeptical, but I was also desperate, so I agreed. The restaurant is upscale, the kind of place where waiters move like ghosts, and every table is strategically positioned so you can't quite hear anyone else's conversations. I'm early, so I stand at the bar nursing a scotch and telling myself that tonight will be different. Tonight, I'll meet someone new. Tonight, I'll finally stop thinking about her. Then I see her. Caroline Henderson sits at table 7 wearing a navy dress that probably costs more than my monthly rent. Her hair is styled differently than I remember. Shorter, more severe, but her eyes are unmistakably the same. Eyes that looked at me with love once, then with betrayal, then with something that looked a lot like pity. I'm frozen at the bar. My hands are shaking. And the worst part is that I'm not sure if I want to run toward her or away from her. Gabriel, a voice pulls me from my paralysis. I turn to find a woman behind me. Young, beautiful, with kind eyes and an expression that suggests she has no idea who I am or what I represent. I'm Victoria. I think we're supposed to have dinner together, she says, and she extends her hand like this is a normal evening. Like the entire world hasn't just shifted on its axis. But before I can respond, Caroline appears, and she takes Victoria's arm with the familiarity of someone who's rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. Victoria, sweetheart, why don't you get us a table? I need to speak with Gabriel for a moment. Victoria looks confused, but she obeys. And I'm left standing alone with the woman who destroyed me. Hello, Gabriel, Caroline says, and her voice is exactly as I remember. Smooth, controlled, dangerous. It's been 3 years. You look well. What is this? I ask. It's an opportunity, she says. For both of us. For all of us, really. For what? To humiliate me? To introduce me to another woman before destroying my faith in her. The anger is rising in my chest, hot and acidic. What could you possibly want with me after what you did? She smiles, and it's the saddest and most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I want to apologize. I want to explain. And I want to give you the chance to understand why I had to do what I did. You had your daughter testify that I was abusive. You told her I was a monster. You destroyed her relationship with me. I know what I did, Caroline interrupts, and there's genuine pain in her voice. And I've regretted every moment of it for 3 years. Can we please just talk? Just for one evening? Against every rational instinct, I say yes. We dismiss Victoria with vague apologies and promises of future dates that will never materialize. And then Caroline and I sit across from each other in that upscale restaurant, and she tells me a story that rewrites everything I thought I understood. My daughter was being abused, she says quietly. Not by you, by her previous boyfriend, a man named David who was charming in public and violent in private. And when she started dating you, I thought he was finally gone. But I was terrified that she was going to attach herself to another dangerous man and lose herself completely. I was never violent toward her. I know that now. Caroline reaches across the table and takes my hand, and the feeling of her skin against mine is both familiar and shocking. But you were obsessive. You needed to know where she was at all times. You isolated her from her friends. And to someone like me, someone whose daughter had already been victimized, it looked like the beginning of the same pattern. So you orchestrated her leaving me. I thought I was saving her. Caroline's eyes are full of tears. I told her that what I saw in your behavior was abuse. I encouraged her to leave. And when she wouldn't, I threatened to cut off her trust fund. I made it impossible for her to stay with you without losing her family. And now I know I was wrong. My daughter finally had the courage to tell me about David, about the real abuse she suffered. And I realized that the things I was afraid of in your behavior weren't the precursors to abuse. They were the consequences of loving someone as completely as you loved her. She releases my hand, and I feel the loss of her touch like a physical wound. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Caroline continues. I'm asking you to understand that I was broken, and I broke something beautiful because I thought it was the right thing to do. Where is she? I ask, and the question cost me everything. Is she here? She's in Paris. She's been there for 2 years. She's happy, Gabriel. She's married. She has a life. Caroline pauses. But she never stopped loving you. And she never will. The revelation hits me like a punch to the chest. Then why are you here? Why would you set me up with someone if your daughter? Because you deserve to move on. And because I deserve to know that the man she loved didn't spend the rest of his life alone because of my mistake. But there's something in her expression that suggests this story isn't complete. Something that suggests Caroline has left out the most important part. Over the next 3 weeks, I convince myself that I'm simply trying to understand Caroline's motivations. That I'm seeking closure so that I can finally let go of the woman I lost. But the truth is far more complicated and infinitely more dangerous. I'm falling in love with her. It starts with coffee meetings designed to clarify her story. It continues with dinners where we talk about everything except the elephant in the room, the fact that she's the woman who destroyed my engagement. And by the time I realize what's happening, I'm already too far gone. Caroline is brilliant in a way that her daughter never was. Where her daughter was emotional and impulsive, Caroline is calculated and precise. Where her daughter needed reassurance, Caroline needs challenge. And where her daughter made me feel like I was losing myself, Caroline makes me feel like I'm finally becoming whole. This is insane, I tell her one night as we're walking along the river. I should hate you. I know, she says, and part of you does. I can see it in your eyes. The other part of me wants to spend the rest of my life with you. She stops walking and turns to face me. You can't. Not really. Why not? Because I'm her mother. Because your history with my daughter will always exist between us. Because if we did this, if we actually became something real, we would be betraying her in a way that would be unforgivable. But even as she's saying these things, she's moving closer to me. And when we kiss, it's with the kind of passion that suggests we've both been waiting for this moment since the day we met. The affair is conducted in secret. Hotel rooms in cities where no one knows us. Phone calls at midnight where we whisper things that would destroy both our families if anyone heard them. And through it all, I'm telling myself that this is different. This is real. This is more important than loyalty or morality or the bonds of family. Marcus notices the change in me almost immediately. You're sleeping with her, aren't you? He says one day, not bothering with preamble. Caroline Henderson, your ex-fiancée's mother. It's not like that. It's exactly like that. And it's going to destroy you, Gabriel. Not because the affair is wrong, though it is, but because you're lying to yourself about what this actually is. What do you think it is? I think you're punishing yourself. I think you're trying to create a situation that's so complicated and so wrong that it justifies all the pain you've been carrying. I think you're in love with the idea of loving the woman who destroyed you because it makes you feel noble somehow. Like suffering for her is proof that you're better than you actually are. His words infuriate me because there's truth in them, and I respond by disappearing deeper into Caroline's orbit. I tell myself that we're going to find a way to make this work. I tell myself that love this consuming has to be worth something. I tell myself that I'm not repeating the patterns of obsession that cost me my last relationship. But I am. And then, one evening, Caroline tells me something that changes everything. I'm sick, she says, and the words are so quiet I almost don't hear them. We're in a hotel room in Montreal. It's 3 a.m, and she's lying with her head on my chest, and she says these words like they're the most natural confession in the world. What do you mean you're sick? Cancer. Stage 4. The doctors have given me less than a year. I feel her body relax slightly, like she's finally unburdened herself of something that's been weighing her down. And I understand, with sudden, devastating clarity, that this entire affair has been orchestrated for exactly this moment. Why would you tell me this now? I ask. Because I need you to do something for me, she says. I need you to go to Paris. I need you to find my daughter. And I need you to convince her to forgive me before I die. The flight to Paris feels like a betrayal of everything I've built with Caroline. But I go because I love her, and love, I've learned, means doing things that destroy you in the name of someone else's redemption. I find her in a small gallery in the Marais district. She's displaying her own photographs, images of people in the moments between joy and sorrow, captured with a precision that suggests she understands the spaces between emotions better than most people understand the emotions themselves. And when she sees me, her entire world stops. Gabriel, she whispers, and it's the first time I've heard my name in 3 years, and it sounds like coming home. But I can't let myself be seduced by the familiar. I'm here with a purpose, and that purpose will destroy us all if I'm not careful. Your mother is dying, I tell her, and she wants your forgiveness before she goes. The color drains from her face. How do you know my mother? Why are you? And then understanding floods her expression. Oh God, no. Tell me you didn't. I did, I admit. And I'm sorry. But she's dying, and she deserves nothing from me. My ex-fiancée's voice is ice. She destroyed my relationship with you. She orchestrated my entire life based on her own trauma and her own need for control. And now she's dying. So suddenly it's time for me to forgive her. She's your mother. She's a manipulative, broken woman who used me to process her own pain. She turns away from me. And apparently, she used you too. What did she tell you, Gabriel? Did she tell you she was dying to get you into her bed? Did she use her illness to justify an affair with her daughter's ex-fiancé? That's not fair. Life isn't fair, she snaps. My mother taught me that. And I'm not going to reward her for destroying my life by rushing to her deathbed and absolving her of her sins. I return to Montreal to find Caroline in a hospital bed. The cancer has progressed rapidly in my absence, and she's fading in a way that suggests we're running out of time. Did you find her? Caroline asks, and her voice is barely above a whisper. Yes, she won't forgive you. I know. A smile crosses her face, and it's peaceful in a way that suggests she's already made peace with the fact that redemption won't be coming. But you'll stay with me, won't you? You'll be here while I die. Yes, I say, and I mean it. That's when everything falls apart. My ex-fiancée appears in the hospital room with Caroline's lawyers in tow. She's filed a lawsuit against her mother's estate, claiming that Caroline has been using me as a manipulative tool to alienate her from her inheritance. She's documented the affair. She's documented the lies. And she's making it very clear that I'm complicit in Caroline's schemes. My mother seduced you specifically to create a conflict of interest, she tells the lawyers. She knew that if I found out about the affair, I would believe that Gabriel was manipulating her. She used that belief to turn me against him permanently. And now she's going to die, and he'll be free to contest the will and claim that she was mentally unfit when she wrote it. The courtroom battle is devastating. I'm painted as a fortune hunter who seduced a dying woman. Caroline's reputation is destroyed. And worst of all, my ex-fiancé becomes the hero of the story, the wrong daughter fighting against her manipulative mother. But the truth is far more complicated. The truth is that I love Caroline. The truth is that the affair was consensual. The truth is that Caroline's illness was real. But the truth is also that I allowed myself to be used, and I allowed myself to use her in return. On the day before Caroline dies, she asked me to stop visiting. This has gone far enough, she says. You deserve your freedom, Gabriel. You deserve to stop being collateral damage in my daughter's and my war. I love you, I tell her. I know, and that's the worst thing that could have happened to both of us. She dies at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm not there. I'm sitting in my apartment, staring at the wall, understanding that I've lost her again. Not to another man, not to distance or circumstance, but to the consequences of my own obsession. The will reading is a formality that turns into a confession. Caroline left a letter addressed to me specifically. In it, she explains everything. She explains that her illness was a test, that she was trying to see whether I was capable of moving on, that the affair was never meant to be real. It was meant to be a mirror, showing me that I was still capable of obsessing over women instead of actually loving them. I was wrong about you. The letter reads, when my daughter started dating you, I thought I saw the patterns of abuse that I'd witnessed in my own marriage. But what I actually saw was passion. Deep, all-consuming passion. And I was terrified of it because I thought it would destroy her the way my husband's obsession destroyed me. But over the past 3 months, I've learned something. I've learned that passion without respect is abuse. But passion paired with genuine care for someone's well-being is love. And Gabriel, I believe you're capable of that kind of love, which is why I have to let you go. The affair between us was real, and it was beautiful, but it was also a mistake. And I'm releasing you from the burden of that mistake by dying. I'm giving you the freedom to find someone new, someone you can love without the weight of my daughter's betrayal hanging between you, someone who won't make you choose between loyalty and happiness. But before you move on, I need you to do one final thing for me. I need you to go to my daughter and tell her that I didn't orchestrate the affair to manipulate her. I did it because, for the first time in my life, I wanted to be selfish. I wanted to love someone without guilt. And I chose you because you understood that kind of love. You understood what it meant to be obsessed with someone and still respect their autonomy. Forgive me, Gabriel. Not because I deserve it, but because you deserve to be able to forgive. Because holding on to anger will destroy you in the same way that holding on to obsession destroyed us both. I find my ex-fiancée at the gallery where I first saw her again. She's hanging new photographs, images of empty rooms and abandoned spaces. Photographs that suggest she's been processing grief in the way that creative people do. Your mother left me a letter. I say, of course she did. She doesn't look at me. My mother was very good at explaining her behavior after the fact. She said she was dying before the affair started, that she wanted to know if I was capable of actual love instead of obsession. And were you? My ex finally turns to face me, and her eyes are red-rimmed and exhausted. Were you capable of loving her without trying to own her? No, I admit. I obsessed over her the same way I obsessed over you. I let my need to control someone supersede my ability to respect their autonomy. And I became the thing your mother was afraid of, a man so consumed with his own need for love that he forgot to actually see the person he was supposed to be loving. She nods slowly. That's what she wanted you to understand, wasn't it? That's what the whole affair was about. A final lesson before she died. I think so. Yes. I hate her for using both of us to teach you that lesson, she says. And I hate you for allowing yourself to be used. But I also understand it. Because understanding why people do what they do is the only way I've managed to keep from drowning in my own anger. She sits down on a bench in the gallery, and I sit beside her. For a long time, we don't speak. We simply sit together in the presence of all these empty rooms, these abandoned spaces, these visual representations of loss. I never stopped loving you, I finally say. I know, and I never stopped loving you either. But my mother was right about one thing. Your love was suffocating. It made me smaller. It made me less capable of being myself. I would have changed. Maybe. But I couldn't have given you the chance to change without losing myself in the process. That's the tragedy, Gabriel. We loved each other, but we weren't capable of loving each other in a way that allowed both of us to thrive. And now, I ask, now I've had time to understand myself. I've had time to create work that matters to me. I've had time to become someone I actually like. She stands and walks toward one of her photographs. And maybe now we could try again. Not as the people we were, but as people who understand what we're capable of destroying in each other and who choose to love anyway. It takes 6 months of therapy before we're ready to try. 6 months where we're both independently learning to love without obsession. 6 months where we're learning to respect each other's autonomy while still holding space for deep feeling. When we get back together, it's not a grand romantic gesture. It's quiet and careful and rooted in genuine respect for who the other person has become. We get married in a small ceremony in the same gallery where she displayed those photographs of empty rooms. And standing there in that space that was once full of loss and longing, I realized that love, true love, isn't about possession or obsession or the need to merge completely with another person. It's about standing beside someone respecting their right to exist independently and still choosing every single day to show up as your truest self. On our wedding night, my wife tells me that she found a final letter from her mother. In it, Caroline had written, "Tell Gabriel that the greatest love I ever experienced was watching him learn to love me without trying to destroy me. Tell him that he was my redemption, not because I earned it, but because he was brave enough to become someone different." As I hold my wife in the dark, I whisper a thank you to the woman who taught us both that obsession and love are not the same thing. And I promise that for the rest of my life, I'll love this woman not because she completes me, but because loving her makes me want to complete myself.